So we've now had a chance to really sink our teeth into NFS Unbound. Here are my thoughts on the latest Need for Speed title. So, with the game now being playable for a little while, what has the RacingGames team made of the game? Our full-length editorial review by the RacingGames crew chief is down in the description, but we had slightly different opinions of the game. Naturally, here's my review. Firstly, the aesthetic of the title. I, for one, absolutely love it. As I mentioned in our first impressions video, which you might have seen, the racing game genre as a whole is somewhat limited in terms of what it can do to innovate. Aside from graphics, which improve year on year anyway, and physics, which NFS doesn't aim to have or be good at. At the end of the day, if it's physics you're after, you should grab a sim rather than an arcade title, surely. So, with this new art direction being rather out there, how has it gone down? Honestly, like Marmite, but I for one like it. The genre needed something new and completely out of the box, and this was it. Also, for those that really aren't fans, it's not hard to jump into the settings and scale the pop-ups and garish animations back. The neon vaporwave styling mixed with the pops of colour from these new stylistic elements makes for a game that is visually very new. That said, it is easy to understand why some people aren't fans, and I totally understand. The cars. Now, we put out a video the other day of the starter cars and had it completely wrong. I hold my hands up. You do in fact start with a lower performance car and work your way up to the big leagues, and I, of course, love this. It feels the most underground-esque we've had in a while, and I'm absolutely here for that. Jumping from my EK9 Civic with a top speed of just over 140 into an Aventador SVJ for one of the delivery missions, the speed difference is noticeable and adds that little glimpse of what you could have if you keep playing. The grind element has been missing in recent years if you ask me, and I'm all here for it again now. The cars also look great with ultra settings on PC, this is when I wasn't recording, and even look the business in lower graphics qualities as well. Add to that the wide selection of cars, and in terms of variety, the game is onto a winner. What about the location? What is Lakeshore City actually like? Well, it's alright. For me, the map could have been a fair bit bigger, although I do appreciate the addition of pedestrians and the traffic adding to the living city. More road to drive on would have been a better addition in my eyes, however. That said, the city does look good, and the transition from high-rise to suburbs to quote-unquote countryside feels natural, if a little fast, obviously, given the size of the city. Each location in the playable area feels unique, which is also nice, from the pier to the city to Rydell's rides. There isn't much monotony between locations, which does help make the travelling more bearable and exploring much more fun. The gameplay, for me, this is the story mode so far. Multiplayer without nighttime cruises isn't the multiplayer we were waiting for, especially after a nearly year-long wait. Well, it does feel really quite samey, which kind of goes against what I just said about the location. Of course, I would love to hear your thoughts down in the comments, but the races all feel somewhat identical regardless of where I'm racing. And the handling? Well, while I did grow up playing the Burnout titles, it's been years since I've touched one, and the floaty physics of Need for Speed Unbound leaves a lot to be desired. The biggest problem is that fundamentally this will be driven by some sort of a physics engine, so likely won't be updated or modified in future updates. I understand the need for arcade handling to stay and remove a barrier to entry, but I'm finding myself trying to corner sharply without drifting and ending up facing the opposite direction. This is even after multiple settings tweaks towards grip, and this still happens. As you will read in our editorial review, cars feel too heavy at slow speeds and disconnected from the surface you're driving on at high speeds. Maybe you guys will understand what I'm trying to get at here. So, the verdict. As I said, mine and the RacingGames head honcho's opinions differed, but we ended up at roughly the same total evaluation. I see redemption still for a game that's struggling to solidify its genre-bending gameplay and art style. If you loved Heat, you'll love this. And following a few updates and DLCs that I pray will add new parts to the map, we've got a brilliant Need for Speed title on our hands. The soundtrack is great, as with all EA games, and the art style matches it well. Customization and the cars themselves are also top-notch. I understand this is optimistic, but from me, Need for Speed Unbound gets an 8 out of 10. Do you agree? Let me know down in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe, and we'll catch you in the next video here on the channel soon.